How's everyone doing, all right? Okay, amazing. Amazing. All right, your mates. This is the 4th day of this roadshow, and so far we've visited 8 schools and we've been having a lot of fun. But I'm actually here to speak to you about something quite serious. That topic is sexual abuse and violence and misogyny. Now, I need 2 things from you for this to work really well. The first thing is, I need, obviously, your focus and attention, please. But the second thing is, I want you all to get involved. So there's a couple of moments during my talk where I need a couple of volunteers. There's a couple of moments where I need some people to read out some things for me. And I need everyone to make a lot of noise. So, let's hear it straight away. Are you ready for this? Now, unfortunately for you, we've just been to a school with half the amount of people in this year group and they were so much louder than you. So let's go give that another go. Are you ready for this? So, I am going to make Year 8, can I have your attention? I am going to make 2 promises to you. I promise you that I am not going to repeat what you already know through your lessons on these topics. Because keeping yourself safe from abuse and exploitation is important, but I'm gathering you've already been taught about it. Because, can you give me a big nod if you've been taught a million times and you know all the rules around consent and body safety? Okay, excellent. Now, can you give me a nod if you've been taught a million times and you know all the rules around how to be safe online? Definitely. I've got some definitely's at the top of this. Now, I want you to pretend like there's no teachers in here and nobody's going to get in any trouble if you answer this. I want you to give me a nod if you're actually fed up with those lessons.
Yeah,
Okay. Year 8, thank you for that. So, I mentioned to you, I will not repeat those, but what I am going to do is I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to bring some real life examples to the table. I'm actually going to speak to you about a sexual abuse situation that I was in my childhood. I'm going to talk to you about that. There are 3 main parts to my story. Let me quickly tell you what they are. First thing, I'm going to talk to you about what happened to me when I was 8 years old. I'm also going to talk to you about getting offered a job at Red Bull Racing designing their race cars and why I ended up having to turn it down. Number 3, I'm going to talk to you about the police arresting me for knocking on my abuser's door. They are the 3 main parts that we are going to get through. But again, I just need to make sure you're ready for this because this is a mature and adult conversation. There's a little bit of debate whether you're too young for this type of conversation, but are you? Okay, well please. Okay, please. So, let's start moving forward with this story. Part number 1, I've titled it, It Didn't Look Like Danger. Here's an opening question. What's the first word you think of when you think of the term sexual abuse? I want you to pick a word out of, now can you turn the lights on please, miss? We're all good, I reckon? Yeah. Otherwise we're going to have some people falling asleep, I reckon. Will? No. I want you to pick a word out of these words. I want you to pick one in your head. And now, I'd like a few people to tell me a word that you picked. What did you pick?
I was going to say power, I'll probably say, like, consent.
Okay, next. Grooming. Next. 4. So, we've all got a word that we picked out of this little menu, these 3 words. And I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that, Year 8. So, let me tell you a little bit about my story, and I need silence for this bit, because this bit's really serious. Who's this? Okay, so, I was 8 years old. When you're 8 years old, you're in year 4, right? So I'm really young. And life was going really well. I had great friends at school, I was in primary school then, we were having a right laugh. But there was something going on in my house. There were some challenges that I was facing. My parents had recently separated, which meant that I was spending some time at my mum's house and some time at my dad's house. Now, anyone in here that's got separated parents knows that becomes challenging. Right. Now at my dad's house, my dad was helping out a friend from work with accommodation, which worked out perfectly. Because my dad was a doctor, which meant he was a busy man. He needed to work late at the surgery unexpectedly, or he needed to work overnight unexpectedly. And at least this way, there was someone in the house to help us out with childcare. Now this man, he was around 35 years old. He was a friend of my dad's. He was a nurse working in the local hospital. Same hospital that my dad worked at, so that's how they knew each other. But this man wasn't everything he portrayed himself to be. This man was actually evil behind closed doors. And he began grooming 8-year-old Jeremy. Put your hand up if you have an idea of what the grooming process means. Okay. So, we know that grooming means trickery, manipulation, and what he did was, he'd play games with me, he'd play football, we'd play on the computer together, he was like my friend. But then sometimes he would just do this other thing that I didn't like. Now you may be wondering, well, what actually was that? So you know all the rules that you're taught about inappropriate and appropriate touch? You know about unsafe and safe touch? You know around the rules around your body? He was breaking all of those. Now you may be thinking, but surely, Jeremy, you told someone. No, I didn't. He asked me to keep it a secret. He told me we'd be in trouble if I told anybody. So I didn't. I just kept it to myself. But interestingly, you may now be thinking, oh, surely a teacher recognised it. Surely your dad recognised it. No. Because Jeremy was showing no signs. I kept it hidden. And I didn't tell anyone. And that's why I'm here today. Because I want to give you all this information about this story so that you've got the tools and information that you need that I didn't have at that time moving forward in your life. Now I mentioned to you that this guy kind of felt like my friend. Playing football, playing games together. He built trust with me. He told me that I was a good boy. He told me that I was cool. So now you have these blue words that you use: force, violence, coercion. I'm going to add some other words to the library that I want you to select from. And those words are these. They're slightly different, aren't they? Flattery, gifts, secrets, attention, trust. Because what I want to tell you is that abuse and exploitation of any sort, whether that be in person or online, can happen in a variety of ways. Sometimes it may be confusing you, sometimes it may even come from somebody that you like, and I want you to be equipped with that knowledge. So 3 things at the end of part 1 I want you to remember. Abuse can happen in different ways. It doesn't have to involve violence. Abuse can sometimes feel confusing, especially if it comes from someone you trust, or you look up to, or maybe even that you like. How confusing is that? But we need to be equipped moving forward, especially as I know you spend a lot of time online. And the third one is I need you to understand the definition of this. So here is where I need somebody to read out the definition on the next slide. Who would like to do that? Yes, young man, stand up. Round of applause for this young man. Amazing, another round of applause. Okay. So, you guys, listen to this, right? Listen to this. That takes a brave person to stand up in front of his year group and read a definition like that, so we appreciate this young man at the front. We've got 2 more definitions that we will read out, and I'll be looking for more volunteers to do that. But I need to make sure everybody in this room is feeling at least slightly confident that you would be able to recognise a grooming process or grooming happening in your own life, or a sexual abuse situation in your own life. So can I ask you, has everybody got 5 fingers on one hand? I want you to select how confident you're feeling, 1 being not confident at all, 5 being really confident that you'd be able to spot a grooming situation in your own life. Raise your hands with your numbers, let me see them. We've got some 4s, we've got some 3s, we've got some 2s. We've got some 3s, we've got some 4s. Thank you so much. Lower your hands. Okay. You're 8, thank you. You can lower your hands now, you're 8, thank you. You've got 5 there, thanks. Okay, so what I want is I want to increase this number by the end of this talk. Let's move on to part number 2. And I've titled that, Everything Seemed Fine. Who's got something going on behind closed doors on this picture I want you to think about? Is it the person on the left? Is it the person on the right? I'm going to give you a third option. Is it both? Okay. Let's have a vote here. Let's have a vote. Shout nice and loud if you think it's the person on the left. Shout nice and loud if you think it's the person on the right. Shout nice and loud if you think it's both. Amazing. You guys are equipped. Let's continue this story. I talked to you about what happened at 8 years old. The abuse finished when I was 10 years old. It went on for 2 years and nobody knew about it. And I continued my life. Here I am in year 7. I was lively. I had great friends. School was going well. I started playing sport. I started captaining the rugby team, captaining the basketball team. Now you may be thinking, well, what about what happened? What did you do with that? Well, what I actually managed to do was, I put it in a box, shut the top of it, locked that box, and put it in my rucksack, and just walked around with it, just ignoring it, because I thought that would be a good coping mechanism. I mentioned to you I buried my head in sport, that made me feel good. I then moved into year 8, I had this great set of mates, that made me feel good. I then moved into year 11 and I met this teacher called Mr. Blanchard. He was a chemistry teacher and he showed me how to pass exams, and it just seemed so logical to me, so I started doing really well at school too. And all of these things were helping me ignore what was in my rucksack. But there was a problem, because that thing just started getting a little bit heavier and a little bit heavier as the years went on. But I just continued ignoring it because I had all these coping mechanisms that I was using. Now I left school with good grades. I went to college and got good grades there too. And I embarked on a career in engineering, aerospace engineering. I started designing aircraft parts, systems and structures. And I started working around the world. I started getting paid well. This was going really well. The weekends became a lot of fun. I was out partying constantly. Here are me and my mates in my early days. 20 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old, 23 years old. Life was going so well, but remember, I still had this thing in my rucksack that I was carrying around that was starting to feel quite heavy, but I had the correct coping mechanisms. So you can see, I was a man in my 20s smiling, having a good time, going out to parties, living my life with a great career. But I still had something going on behind closed doors. So, well done to you all for selecting both on the answer to this question. So 3 things I want you to understand at the end of part 2. Different people use different coping mechanisms. People can appear fine even though they've got things going on behind closed doors, and that's really important for you because you've all got friends here, right? And you never know what your friend is going through behind closed doors. So I ask you all here today to be kind to each other. Even if someone's happy, even if someone's sad, please just be kind to each other because you never know what someone's got going on. And the third thing is another definition. So for this, I need another volunteer from the second row. Okay, from the second row, we got a volunteer. Who else we got? No, people don't go that far, that's the problem. Young man, you want to come up front and do this? Round of applause for this young man! Okay, you've got to show respect to this man. He's come up the front, right? So we need silence here. He's your teammate. Year 8, we need silence. I need you to read this whole microphone. Go for it.
Grooming is when someone tricks or pushes you into doing some things that are against the rules and ensures you keep it a secret.
Amazing! Round of applause! Okay, this man's got like 20 wristbands on his wrist. Where did he get all those from? Oh, okay. So, we've gone through the definition of what is sexual abuse and now what is grooming. We are getting equipped and we are working towards all putting up 5 fingers on that hand for how confident you feel. So we've all got coping mechanisms. I mentioned some of mine to you. When you are feeling sad or when you are feeling angry, I wonder what your coping mechanism is. Anyone got one for me? Yes? Punching my brother. Does he punch you back?
Yeah, not very hard.
Oh, okay, he wins the battle. Who else? Yes, please.
Going into the forest.
Going into the forest. Yes, please. Coping mechanism. Yes, please. Nice and loud. Eating. Yes, please. Nice and loud. Listening to music. I think that was that. Yes, please. Playing rugby, okay, year 8. Year 8. Give me a yes if you've all got at least one coping mechanism. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we're all straight with that. We're looking pretty good here, year 8. We're looking pretty good. Let's move on to part number 3. What would you do? I need everyone to, for this, I need everyone to stand in silence. Can you manage that? I don't know if you can manage that. Can you all stand in silence, please? Everyone stand. Okay, year 8, you don't need to stand on your chair. Okay, so. Get down from your chair, the teacher says. Get down from your chair. Okay, year 8, I need you to do something for me. I need everyone in this room, and I'm going to give you 10 seconds to do this. I need everyone in this room to think of something personal or embarrassing that you do. It could be a bad habit that you've never told anyone about, and you'd be embarrassed if they found out about. How about you regard? That's the question. Something personal and embarrassing, a bad habit you've got. Okay, year 8, we need silence. We need silence, year 8. So now, I'm asking the next question. I need everybody's concentration, because you don't want to get this bit wrong and be left standing when you don't want to be left standing. Remain standing if you'd be happy to tell this room that thing. Okay. Young lady, you remain standing. Yeah? Okay, cool. Remain standing. Okay, we never really normally have people remain standing, but we've got a few brave people in this school. So, can everybody point to the person who you want to hear their embarrassing things? Alright, you sat down. Hey, would you be willing to come to the front and talk about it? Okay, come to the front. Round of applause! Alright. Okay, cool. What's your name?
Jess.
Jess, and it seems like it's Jess' birthday today! You're right, do you want to hear Jess's bad habit? Okay, nice and nice.
So I was walking with my sister across the road and I slipped over, I pulled her down and we both stoned.
Oh my goodness, did you apologise for that? Did anyone see? Okay, loads of people saw. You felt embarrassed, and you are a brave person for telling the whole year group that. Thank you so much. Round of applause. Okay. You're all good. Sit down. Thank you. Okay, year 8. Year 8, thank you. The point of that is, most of us, all of us, nearly all of us, don't want to talk about embarrassing things or personal things. We are all a no for that answer. Now let me continue telling you about my story. I mentioned to you about my career, I mentioned to you about my friends, I mentioned to you that life was going really, really well. But something seemed to change when I turned 25 years old. I started experiencing these low bouts of sadness. Now I wasn't sure where they were from, because I was usually an upbeat person, but this was different. So I sat with what was going on for a little while, and I thought, oh no, it's the abuse, it's back. What's going on over here, girls? What's happening? Is this an emergency? It's all good. Did someone get it? Oh dear. Alright, the worst scenario is over. Alright, you guys, let's continue with this. I just mentioned to you at 25 years old, everything started to change. Low bouts of sadness. The memories of the abuse had returned. They started getting really bad. The memories turned to flashbacks, which turned to night terrors. I kept having this same dream that I was this 8-year-old boy again, and he was coming into my room. Things had got bad. These memories had me on my knees and I had no defence for them anymore. So I knew I needed to do something different. But what was that going to be, I was asking myself. And I thought, you know what? I should tell a mate about what happened. That would be a good idea. I don't know where this idea came from, but it just felt strong. So I tried it. I was in the pub with a mate, we were having a drink, and in my head I was saying, just say it now. Just say the words. But I couldn't seem to get them out. I got home that night and I thought to myself, why didn't you just say something? So I try again. I'm around my mate's house, we're just watching a film. I'm saying in my head again, just say the words. But I couldn't get the words out. Why? Anybody got any ideas? Yes, please. Maybe I was a bit scared. Maybe I was a bit embarrassed. Yes, please, nice and loud at the back. He might make fun of me. How's he going to react? What's my mate going to say? Is he going to believe me? Yes, please, at the back. Nice and loud. Okay, I didn't quite get that, but he may not believe me. He may react in a bad way. What's going to happen after I say it? Thank you, hands down. But I knew I needed to pursue this idea. So eventually I managed to do it. And it was to a friend called Luke. These are 3 photos of me and my best mate in the year that I told him. And I sat him down and I said, mate, you are never going to believe what happened to me when I was younger. Now he could have guessed 1,000 times. He would have never got anywhere near the answer because I told you I was showing no signs and I didn't tell anyone. I kept the secret because that man told me that I must. He gave me the perfect response. And this is very important for every person sitting here because it's not unlikely that one time in your life you may have a friend come and disclose something personal to you. You may have a family member come and disclose something personal to you, and you want to be equipped to give a good response to that. He showed all the emotion. He was sad, he was frustrated, he was angry, but he didn't make it about him. And he gave me my space to talk, and he listened. The perfect response to my first disclosure. And I woke up the next morning, and honestly, I couldn't believe how good I felt. I felt stronger, I felt lighter, I felt like this weight had been lifted off my shoulders and my life had this new energy about me. So we all know, because we played that little game there, well, is it that easy to speak about something personal? Maybe something you're even embarrassed about, maybe something you're even fearful of. No, it's not. We all agreed on that. So there's 3 things I want you to understand at the end of part 3. Coming forward and speaking about an abusive situation is not easy, but people will respect you and give you the support that you need. Point number 3, I need to make sure that everybody in here knows where you can go if you need to speak to someone. There are 5 main groups of people. I need a hand naming those. Nice and loud, yes please. I want you to give me one.
Clive.
Clive? Who's Clive?
He's our youth mentor.
Oh, so teacher. Thank you. Sorry, mate. I didn't know who Clive was. That's my apologies. So we got teachers right at the back there. Yes, please. Yes, please. The police. Excellent. Number 3. Yes, please. Trusted adult. Give me one. We got teachers and we got police. Social worker is a great one. Next one, yes please. Family, so parents. Number 4, yes please. Yeah. Your mum, so parents. Right, we got police, we got teachers, we got parents. We're looking for 2 more, yes please. Counsellor, yes please. Your age. Right, you're all on the internet. What internet site did you go to? Childline, amazing. And the 5th one, I hope everyone's got one of these here in this school. The 5th one is your friend. Excellent, we'll just shout it out. 10 out of 10. So, the 5 people who you can speak to in year 8. This is very, very important. Teacher, parent, police, childline, and friend. But if a friend is the first person you ever speak to, I need you to make sure it doesn't end with them. I need you to make sure you end it with an adult, please. Don't just stop at a friend. So, to show the strength in numbers, to show the strength in community, we're going to do a quick exercise. And for this, I need another chair. And for this, I need someone who thinks they are pretty strong. You go. No, you put your hand up, didn't you? Come on, there you come. Come down, you bud. You sit up. Yes, bud. Come on. Round of applause. All right. Come stand on the chair. I don't know if we're allowed to stand on chairs in this school. Not really. Sorry, miss. Sorry, sir. Breaking the rules a little bit, but otherwise you can't see this situation. So, what's your name?
Noah.
Noah is here, volunteering very bravely. The first thing I need to ask is Noah strong? Alright. Okay, we've got Noah, the front here, he's got about 50% supporters, 50% haters. Who are the haters? Who are the supporters? Alright. So, I'm going to give Noah one toothpick. And what this toothpick represents is us on our own. One person. So, handling difficult situations on your own and not reaching out to those 5 groups of people is challenging. Managing stuff on your own is challenging. We're not that strong alone. So to represent that, I'm going to give Noah this toothpick. Don't do anything with it just yet. And I'm going to ask him to, we're going to see whether he can snap it. Do you think he can? Alright, so after 3, we're going to give an encouraging cheer to Noah, and we're going to see whether he can snap this toothpick. 3, 2, 1. Alright, it was easy for Noah. All you doubters were proved wrong. Noah just swore, by the way. No, he didn't. Alright, so. Ready? Right, so we're gonna turn it up a gear. We're gonna give Noah the toothpick that represents one person, you know, when you're alone, but we're gonna strengthen this up because we went through those 5 people that you could speak to, which makes your situation stronger, right? If you're going through something challenging. So can you just shout out what they were again? Teachers. Police. Childline. Parents. Right, so now Noah's got 6 toothpicks. Do you think Noah's strong enough to break the 6 toothpicks? We heard from the haters last round. Let's hear from the supporters. Where's Noah's mates? You've got to make more noise than that. You've got to make more mates over here. Alright, let's hear from the supporters again. Alright. Let's see whether Noah can break the 6 toothpicks. It's going to be harder than the first. After 3, let's give him some encouraging words. 3, 2, 1. Done it. Alright. Let's really turn this up again now then. Let's test Noah here. We've got us alone. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who we know we can speak to if there's anything going on in our lives that's making us feel uncomfortable, online or in person. Now, I want you to think about your own life and who specifically would you go and speak to? Can I have some hands? Yes, please. Your friend's mum? Yeah, that's alright. I'm not doing that. Yes, please. Your pet? This young lady will speak to your pet. What's your pet? What pet have you got? A cat. Anyone else speak to? Yeah, that's cool. Yes, please. Your mum? Yes, please, at the front. Clive? Yes, please. Your dog? Yes, please, at the back. Would anyone speak to their granddad? Anyone speak to their grandma? Another one. Sister. A brother. A cousin. The turtle. Alright, listen. Another mate. Right, how many you got? Right, now I'm just, it's way too noisy in here, it's way too noisy. I'm just going to give Noah like another 10. Right, Noah, I keep trying to have him to up the number because everybody keeps breaking them and that's not the point of the exercise. Right, Noah has got probably around 20 cocktail sticks. Do you think you can do this? Noah, do you think this is what's important? Do you believe in yourself? Yeah? Alright, Noah believes in himself. After 3, 2, 1. Alright, look, that's just a bit of a silly game, right? But the idea, you're eight. I've got to give you the idea of the game, right? You can see one cocktail stick representing yourself trying to handle tough situations is weak. Even just reaching out to the 5 people is a little bit stronger, it's still not the strongest. We want you to continue speaking to more and more people until you get the support that you need. Excellent. Noah, you did an amazing job. His supporters, well done. His haters, you got proved wrong. Let's continue moving to part number 4. We've got 2 more parts to go. Year 8, thank you for sticking with me. We've got a dream or a detour, this one's titled. The opening question is, if you could do any job in the world, what would it be? Let's have some answers. Oh, I need some people who haven't answered this yet. And I can't hear the people. You're eight. I can't hear people answering the question from the crowd because everybody's talking. I need your help with this, please. I need some people who haven't answered some questions so far. Young man right at the back, nice and loud. What's your dream? Drama? Good on you. Next one. Yes, please. Dance teacher. Let's have another. A turtle trainer. We got a little bit of a turtle thing going on in this corner here. Yes, please, in the back, nice and loud. A pianist. Nice. Yes, please. F1 driver. Yes, please. Horse trainer. Amazing. Yes, please. What was the question? Pilot. Nice one. All right, listen, year 8. Year 8, thank you. Everyone in here has a dream. If you don't have one, I hope you can find one as soon as possible, because I mentioned to you that I felt so good after speaking out for the first time. My life had a new energy about it. I put all of this energy into my career. I told you that I designed aircraft. I had some inspiration from a recent colleague that managed to go to Formula 1. McLaren Mercedes Formula 1 team, the team that Lewis Hamilton used to drive for. And he told me that was possible for us. So I started aiming for that. I needed to learn about cars because I knew about aircraft. So I started working at Jaguar Land Rover, designing their new part for their new Range Rover models. Things were going really well, I could learn a lot there. I then started working for McLaren Supercars in Woking. I was selected to design this limited edition vehicle called Speedtail. Only 107 were made. They were sold at 2 million each. And I was selected to design the internal structures. This just felt like one step away from this dream of Formula 1. Hang on, bud. The next morning I wake up to an email from Red Bull Racing. They wanted to see me for an interview. This was everything that I was aiming towards. I want you to remember 3 things. I want you to understand and recognise your life goals and how to pursue them. I want you to remember the importance of resilience, growth and support, because none of this is straightforward. Life is not straightforward. I imagine many of you sitting there have gone through low times, challenging times, frustrating times, times that make you feel angry. That is this game of life. But I want you to remember resilience and growth through all of those things forever. And the third thing that I always want you to remember, because we have talked a lot about what you can do if you find yourself in an uncomfortable, dangerous, tricky situation. But we actually don't want it to get there in the first place. So do you know, give me a nod in silence if you know what a red flag is.
Yeah.
Okay, now I need someone from the front 2 rows to read a definition. Yes, stand up please. F1 ambition. God. What's your name? Jay, hold the microphone, bud. Read this muscle out.
A red flag is when someone goes off, even if you can't explain why. It might be someone making you uncomfortable, or something that seems okay, but your gut says this doesn't feel right.
Amazing, round of applause for Jay. Now listen, year 8, what's the most important thing about this sentence is your gut feeling. When you get a feeling in your stomach that something isn't right, reach out to those 5 people, in person or online. Now how is the big question. I'm going to give you 3 sentences that you can use. I want you to never forget these. First sentence, I've got a complicated situation going on, can I speak to you about it? Would you feel comfortable using that sentence with your parents?
Yes.
Tell me again, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, it's about 50-50. Next sentence. Something's bothering me and I think you're the right person to talk to. Would you feel confident using that sentence with one of your teachers? What was that? Was that about 70-30? Give me it again, yes or no? No! Alright. Final question, sentence, sorry. There's something going on I need to tell you about. Would you be confident to use that sentence with one of your friends? Yes. Alright, lots of yeses. So, part 5, here's the final part. You got me for 5 more minutes and here is where I talk to you about the police and getting arrested. So I need absolute silence here. Because the opening question is, in your own head, I want you to answer this question. If someone hurt you, would you walk away or take matters into your own hands? I want you to keep your answer in your head. Year 8's ready. I'm going to tell you the final part of the story. I talked to you about the Red Bull racing job. I ended up turning it down. I was 30 years old by this point, and I'd started speaking about my story for some years, and I wanted to do something different about it. My aim was to come into schools like I am today and speak to you about my story so you never have to go through what I went through. But I put everything into my car, I sold everything that I had, and I hit the road. I started speaking at schools and it started going so well, but there was still a big problem. In all the conversations that I was having, there were always 2 questions that kept coming up. Question number 1, where was the man that did this to me now? Question number 2, was he still committing the crime? These were 2 questions I didn't like, but I felt like I needed to try to find out. So I had his name, and I started searching for him, and I found his social media. And there he was with his wife and his 2 daughters, smiling at Christmases and smiling on holidays. It made me so angry to see him again. So I wrote him a message. I wrote him a message and I told him that I wanted to meet him. And I said, I'll meet you any place of your choice, coffee shop, park, wherever you want, but you are to come and meet me because we need to talk about what happened all those years ago. I put at the end of the message, he's got 24 hours to get back to me, otherwise I've got no choice but to call the police and report the crime. I press send on the message. I walk away from my phone. I come back 2 hours later and I saw that he blocked me. He blocked me. I literally couldn't believe it. I felt so angry, so I picked up the phone and I reported the crime. Now, remember, the police were one of the 5 groups that you could speak to. You may be under the impression that the police won't help you in a situation like this. I'm going to tell you the opposite. They were fantastic. They couldn't do enough for me. They took down my statement, they supported me through the whole thing, but unfortunately the case was looking weak. This thing happened 20 years ago. There wasn't any evidence. I wish I'd spoken out earlier. They needed to know things like how often was he round? How did he used to get round? These were all questions I didn't know the answer to. I was 8 years old, I don't remember things like that. The only person that knew the answers to those questions was my dad. Now, I never wanted my dad to ever find out what had happened. What good's going to come out of that? He's only going to blame himself for not recognising what was going on with his son. But I decided that I needed to pursue this prosecution attempt, so I drove to my dad's house. Now, do you think that was an easy conversation to have?
No.
Do you think that was an easy conversation for my dad to hear?
No.
And I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you and say that was smooth sailing and that went well. It didn't. But my dad said to me that I'm so sorry that I didn't notice what was going on with you, but I will support you in any move that you need to make from here. So we covered friends, we covered the police, and we covered parents. All great opportunities for support. But in the end, the case had to be closed. And here's where I made a big mistake. I reacted on my anger. That's something that I don't want anyone in here to do. I want you always to sleep on your emotions. If you're feeling really frustrated, if you're feeling really angry, I don't want you to react on that. You know when you're getting really annoyed with your parents and you lash out, maybe you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh, I didn't really mean what I said. Right, let's hold it together. We're stronger than that. But I wasn't at this point. I reacted on my anger. I found out where this man lived and I went and knocked on his door to confront him. This man opened the door. He couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. We had a 5-minute confrontation. His wife called the police. They arrived and they arrested me. He took me to court and prosecuted me for stalking, harassment and assault for leaving a red mark on his chest when I pushed the door open, and I was found guilty. I now have a criminal record. This is not good. If I was to go back to engineering and try and get back into Formula One, I stand no chance. They get thousands of CVs every day. I would be in the no pile immediately. This is a terrible thing that I did. As I mentioned, a criminal record that walks around with me forever now. So now I want to ask you, if you, in your own head, if you were someone that was like, I'll take matters into my own hands, I want you to reconsider your decision, and maybe walking away would be the correct choice in certain situations. So I want you to remember 3 things. We're on the very final part now, 1 minute to go. Resist reacting on emotions in the moment. Sleep on them. Taking justice into your own hands can have serious consequences. And the third and very final thing that I want to leave you with. If you remember anything about this talk in 5 years, in 10 years, I want it to be these 3 points. If you ever feel uncomfortable about anything and you feel it in your gut about something that's going on online or something that's going on in person that is breaking the rules you've been taught about, please tell someone and use the people that we've spoken about today. Life is hard. Don't let things pull you down. You're going to be dragged to the left and dragged to the right on a number of occasions in your life. Again, don't let them pull you down. And especially as you live a life online, I want you to be super vigilant and understand the red flags and catch them before it's too late. Year 8, you have been a brilliant audience. Thank you for your participation. I hope you have a great rest of your road show. Thank you. Amazing.